We are here live with a town hall. Congresswoman Spartz of Indiana is holding a town hall. I'm going to turn the audio up right now.
And nobody's planning to do it. And it's not going to happen, but as a short-term mechanism to realize it could be done.
Our next question is from Ann from Carmel, number 412.
It is a contentious town hall.
Ann from Carmel, 412. Okay, excellent. We'll get a microphone to you. Oh, hi. Thank you for being here, Congresswoman. We really appreciate your time. I'm a family physician here locally, and I'm very concerned about the threatened cuts to the CDC. We've all just come through. We've all just come through a very difficult pandemic that my colleagues and I have supported our community through. And I'm seeing cuts in vaccine programs that really frighten me because we are continually seeing viruses mutate, and we need to be prepared. So I feel that this is very short-sighted, especially given the recent experience that we've all just had.
Well, I think that's okay. There are a few things that we need, and I appreciate it's actually a very important job, and we need to make sure that we have more independent family physicians that have been acquired by hospitals and get highly subsidized more and more. But talking about the cuts in the government employment, we have over 3 million employees, in the federal government. Actually, under President Clinton, I think he got almost 400,000 employees, and no one was screaming about that. But what we need, so we still don't have more than 3 million left. What they're trying to see how we make sure that we provide the services in a more effective way, and we make sure that people that work in these agencies actually do the work for the people. Because we do bureaucracy, where we try to do everything at the federal level, and we're good at nothing. And you saw how it's happened in the last pandemic. No one was ready to that pandemic. No one was ready. And the agencies, we had oversight hearings. Pandemic happened 4 years ago. They didn't change a bit. So something has to happen because things can happen, and we need to be ready for next pandemic. But agencies has to become more accountable to the people. We need to do a better job with oversight of our budget, which is congressional fault. 85% of our money we never looked at. Congress haven't looked for decades. 85%. 85% of the money. Congress never looked. So we're not authorizing spending, we haven't been looking. I eventually put a working group together and put in pressure on my own party, try to do some reforms that we start doing a better job to see which programs are good, find them better, which programs are bad. That's what we need to do. We need to make sure that looking at that and make sure that our branches are held accountable, and we have best and brightest that want to come to work to federal government. And it is unfortunately not the case anymore. So I think if you're ever interested, you work in healthcare, I have advisory group I always meet. I would appreciate your input because I'm personally involved in fixing a lot of distortion and problems in healthcare. And I hope we can have a bipartisan conversation on that. And if you need your information, interested to participate, I think if we have a smaller group, we can have more productive conversations on this issue. I'd be happy to hear you, and then please leave your information on that.
Our next question is from Keith from Westfield, number 142. Do we have? Keith from Westfield, number 142. Thank you.
Thank you. My question is actually related to all of the immigrants that are being rounded up and deported. Are they entitled to due process, or are we that we're just supposed to take the word of the administration that these people need to be shipped out of the country without any opportunity to defend themselves.
Let me answer your question. So, listen, we're a country of immigrants. I came here as an immigrant. We still have my Yankee accent. But we need to make sure that we have, we have legal processes and law and order. We cannot open the borders. We cannot create a system where coming here legally takes decades. That is impossible. But coming illegally, you can come here and get a lot of welfare benefits. So we have to make sure that we get that border under control. I've been at that border many times. It's insanity. So if you come here, so a lot of these people, what President Trump did it last time, what he tried, if you seek asylum, wait in the other country, not getting here in the country. So there is no due process if you come here illegally because you violated the law. Period. You violated the law. You are not entitled to due process. The border has to be secure because it is the life of your children. It is the life of you. If you can't control the border. This police officer and our border patrol, brave people, risk their lives because we allow criminals to cross the border. That is wrong. That is wrong. So, for the people that entitled to due process will have, but for the criminals who come here breaking the law, we have to put stop to that. And we need to deter. We need to deter illegal activities. Because we have to obey the law. I don't think anyone listened to me, but I think I stated my opinion. We might disagree with it, but we'll go to the next question.
Our next question is from Pam. Our next question is from Pam from Fishers, number 106. That's Pam from Fishers, number 106. Pam from Fishers, number 106. I'm sorry. He didn't like it when I gave my mic away last time. Sorry.
Okay, so my question is about the VA. My best friend, he served as a combat Marine over in Iraq, and he was there when they had the open burn pits, and he was supposed to have surgery on his sinuses, but that was canceled. He has PTSD. Those appointments were canceled. He's supposed to have appointments for his knee and back. Those appointments were canceled. When is he supposed to get the health care that he deserves for serving his country?
I completely agree with you. Everyone here who served the country is alive should get the best care when they're back home. So if you have a specific issues, I first address your issues and I say a little bit in general about VA. So if you have a specific issue, and we get involved a lot, I have a good team, If you have a specific issue, please reach out to my office. We'll have David here. We'll follow up his VA. I do not know circumstances what happened to your friend, but this is an issue with help. I personally get involved with something wrong. I meet with leadership. I go talk to them, and I truly believe if they don't treat veterans well, I get on them. I want to make sure it's happening. As related to healthcare services, we actually need probably offer more opportunities for veterans to get the best healthcare, not just only in VA. And that is a discussion we should have because not everyone can the best services at the VA level, and we should have more flexibility if VA cannot deliver some of the services because some VAs are great, some are not the best. They have in some areas they don't have proper staff to provide quality care. But in that specific situation, information. I want to make sure that you get, I think you get card from David, or you give us information, and we'll make sure that we'll reach out. Thank you.
My next question is for Laura from Tipton, 332.
Sponsor a bill on that issue. I actually could sponsor a bill on the issue. I think
We'll
we
get a
can fix it.
microphone to you.
Not on my newsletter, so that you can keep in touch with what I'm doing. Who we have next?
First, I would like to thank everybody who asked the questions before. Those were some really common sense questions, so thank you, everybody. And then, and thank you for coming, Representative Spartz.
Try to see where you are.
I'm right here. I'm sure.
Okay, keep that.
Yeah. So, given current events, what are you doing to rein in the executive branch and support the judges and the judicial branch?
Might know from even my state senate time that I actually willing to challenge even my own party when I on a lot of issues, and I work very extremely hard to make sure that our branch is doing this job, because the only way, and listen, I like what this president is doing, but I might not like what next president is doing. But the only way for the Congress to rein in the executive branch, start overseeing the spending and passing laws. We pass no laws. Supreme Court told us we pass no laws. 85% will never look at that. So I am trying to work. I forced my party to put a working group to reform our budget act from 70s that is not working. We're not doing that. We have no people that can put spreadsheets together. That's the tough reality in Congress. So you want to make sure that your money is spent. So the only way to have oversight, regardless who's in charge. I didn't like maybe what the previous president, I like this one, but I look at further. How can we make sure that Congress does its job? We the people bring about this. When we don't have voice and pass the laws, when we do not look at where money going, that you are not represented. And it has been for decades. For quarter of a century, Congress doesn't look where the money are going. Quarter of a century. It wasn't created by these programs or previous. So I'm trying to change it. I got into a big fight with my speaker. That's not easy to go challenge our own speaker. But I tried to force working group, and I'm asking some Democrats for a change to maybe work with us. Behind their back, some of them do. I'll be honest with you, behind their back, we had some bipartisan issues on fiscal coalition. I do not know. And that is talking about, like even today, that we can even help bipartisan. Unfortunately, I get stressed. I know you guys listen to a lot of, from other side. I don't know, but people don't want to get together. It's very difficult right now to find 80 bipartisans in Congress. So this is the reality what's happened. And without bipartisan agreement, it cannot be reformed. So I'll do my best, what I can. But this is the reality that has to be addressed. And sometimes we have to find common ground that we should not, regardless of what you feel, we should not be spending your money without proper oversight of Congress. We should not let these agencies worldwide and send check whoever they want for whatever causes. This shouldn't be happening. It's never been a partisan issue before. Unfortunately, it became. So I'll do my part, and I'll try to make sure that my party at least will have a proposal how we're going to be reforming Congress, and maybe we'll get some Democrats. I'll try my best.
Our next question is from Carlos. Carlos, I don't know where you're from because you didn't answer on the form, but I do know that you're number 46. It's Carlos from number 46.
Could you answer even one question?
Do you support the judicial system or not?
Do we have a Carlos 46? I will ask your question for you. Okay, this is what Carlos R., number 46, asked. He said, what do you have to offer to the leftist and progressive Democrats? I want to feel represented by candidates, politicians on all sides of the political aisle. How are you looking out for those you vehemently disagree with?
It's actually, I'll tell you something interesting, that when I served in the judiciary, I had passed and actually worked on more bipartisan issue, and that was the most heated committee in the whole United States Congress. I actually had a bill with Representative Jayapal dealing with hospital monopolies and antitrust. I actually passed a bill with Representative Raskin commemorating Thomas Paine and Thomas Paine Society. I actually worked on my amendments to defund UN was actually left degree and have oversight of some of the agricultural programs where Democrats vote with me. So I try to find in a narrow basis common ground when I can. Unfortunately, we became very far apart in a lot of issues, and no one wants to have a conversation. Everyone was scream and shout on the floor, the presentation, not to really find a resolution. Some of the issues we never agree on, and this is just reality. And then in elections, you decide who represents you, and you vote for people that you agree on. But there are some issues for national security we should be able to agree on. We should be able to have a conversation. But it's unfortunate because a lot of politics right now in Iran, but I still think, we are going to be able to do some things, after, maybe reconciliation. I will try to find some, people to be able to do that, I am actually working with all committees right now. I have a working group to deliver reconciliation and the laws because I'm going to reform Congress. I'm a joint economic task force. I run in that. I think you have a simple answers, okay, guys? But we're going to figure it out some things, and we're going to work on fiscal issues. And even some of the issues we might be able to find common ground.
The next question is from Nakona Kennedy Flat, number 52, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounced your name.
I'm making legislation. And you might not like it, but I'm going to pass some good legislation. Some of the people, I do not, yes, well, listen, with all the judgment results. So
my turn. Right here. Okay, so with Trump and Elon's Doge cuts to USAID, USDA, increased tariffs, Department of Education, what are you doing for the farmers in Indiana? Because Indiana is a farming state, and every one of those, farmers lose money. And if you're not sure on that, you gave your credentials earlier, let me give mine. I grew up on a farm. I have an American FFA degree. I'm a master's level therapist as well as a PhD. So when I'm asking this question, I don't want to know for me. I don't want to know for my family. I want to know for the farms in Indiana, what are you doing to make sure that those products and those goods that they sell to other countries through USAID, through USDA, and through our Department of Education, what are we going to do? Because those are gone. They lost that revenue.
I'm a farmer myself. I have a farming operation. I drive combine. I have a farm. Thousands of acres that I farm. So I can tell you from first-hand knowledge, I actually write the checks for the chemicals. I actually wrote today a large check. The price is increasing for the grain prices, for all of the seed prices, for all of the regulation, expensive combines, and oil and gas that we have to pay. So I'm not just talking hypothetical. I'm actually in this business. My family have been farming over thousands of acres in this area for years now, for generations. My husband grew up on a farm in Noblesville, and then his family and his oldest farming in Minnesota and Noblesville. So I'm not just talking that I do not know about this issue, but I'll tell you what to do with farming. And we're going to have a farm bill, and I want to work on this issue because smaller farmers are going to be destroyed if we do not continue dealing with input costs. If we have large oligopolies like John Deere creating rules that now we're overpaying for equipment that we cannot afford, we have the rights to repair where farmers are not getting screwed by large companies that producing that. We need to make sure that we're We need to make sure that we have, so we are going, they're not doing it because Congress doesn't want to talk conversation, but we'll have a reauthorization of the Farm Bill. We need to make sure that some of this program, like checkoff programs, that actually used by large meat processing monopolies to subsidize their political interest in DC, which actually when I put it on the floor, it was a bipartisan issue. AOC voted for it. You know, but we will try to make sure, we actually didn't have any PPE loans, you know, because I don't have one, but I'll tell you something. You know, it's very important that we have farmers surviving and small family farms survive. And we need to start looking at input costs. The only place we can have that discussion is the Farm Bill, because it's a must-pass legislation. So I actually just saw at the White House our new Secretary of Agriculture, and I said I would like to sit down sometimes with you and have also discussion, because also Farm Bill is a health of our nation too. How we can have healthy food, so our children are healthy, we have a better choice of food, and farmers not incentivized to produce unhealthy food in mass production. How we can have more choices for food. Farm Bill is also a health bill, and we have to have competition for value and have a better, more innovative agriculture. And it's not happening. So I hope we can have this conversation. You know, we have new HHA secretary. You might not like him, but you know, but RFK wants to have this conversation. In the farm bill. So we might get you a farm committee for Mr. Reagan. You know, but fine, cover about this one issue we can agree with. But we need to have this discussion because it's extremely important how we can do that. And so I actually do have, if any of you are interested in farming, including you, I have agricultural groups because I have a lot of advisory groups in different counties, and we meet periodically. It's important for me to hear all inputs. You know, I mean it. I actually get a lot of good ideas from people on the ground for a variety of things. I usually just meet with farmers, but interesting to look at people who may be not involved in farm, but familiar with farm, and have another perspective on how the farm business is, not just farmers, because we look maybe a few things, you might have a broader perspective. I think we need to look at that, and Farm Bill is going to be an opportunity. After we're done with a few other things later in the summer, in August we have a recess. We'll have a lot of town halls, and I usually do a lot of things on farming because Farm Bill will have to be reauthorized in September, October. And that's where the policy can happen. I'd be happy here for input. I would like to have you there. So we must not liking each other to get to know you, but thank you. Thank you for the question.
Our next question is from Stacia from Muncie, number 329. And I apologize again if I mispronounce your name. Okay, we'll get a microphone right to you. Thank you.
It was, I needed some coffee.
Okay, I have friends and neighbors on disability. What is the plan to protect the disabled? They're taking away
This is one of the things, and I really, that should be a bipartisan issue. I'm involved with a lot of people in the disability community, one of my friends, but one thing that we need to make sure, we ensure that Medicaid that provide a lot of services for people with disability can provide better services. That's what Medicaid was intended for, to help people with disability. A lot of services were cut, and a lot of money in Medicaid go to subsidize large oligopolies that don't provide services. So we need to have this discussion because we need to make sure that we have, and plus provide more choice for parents and for people with disability, including for seniors too, the more nursing home, what kind of care the people need. That has to be reformed. States have almost full control of Medicaid, and they haven't been using it very good job with that. I think this session, they're trying to do it. When I was state senator, I tried to push this issue. They were not very good. So we're trying to look at the federal level, how we can incentivize or punish states for bad behaviors. And that is the discussion is going to be. We have to look, because federal government is funding these programs, but state has almost full discretion on Medicaid that provide a lot of service for people with disability. We need to make sure that we do better, and that's something, every time, we talk about how much money we spend. This is an enormous amount of federal money I spend, but I think you need to also utilize more your voice at the State House. It's much easier for you to show up, they're in the budget session, And I think some of these issues, we have to figure it out, so, and if you ever need to be helpful, happy to do it. Actually, we have Cecilia Copeland-Fishers, I don't know which city you're from. She's running, the rest of my other one. They have a task forces, the city work on disability initiatives with local government, and I try to collaborate with them as much as I can, because we need to make sure that we help the most vulnerable and that the benefits we promise, but don't waste money on people that are abusing the system, because then we'll run out of money not to help the people that we need to help.
Our next question is from Bob from Fishers, number 59. If you are Bob from Fishers, number 59, awesome. We will get a microphone right to you.
My question is simple. Are you going to vote to increase the budget deficit?
No, I'm not. And I'm actually working very hard to make sure that we come after bad stuff in the budget, to make sure that we come after all of the fraud in the system, and able to pass taxes that will grow the economy. So this is something that is going to happen. This is going to happen in May. I personally put a working group together with all a variety of committees, and I'm working legislation. You don't understand how rare it is to work on working legislation. And what I would love to do, before we introduce this legislation, I'll make sure you're going to see what is in these bills and understand what we're doing, because a lot of times we write very complex stuff, you have no idea what it is. So if you sign up, that's how the Congress does. That's a whole. We put omnibuses to make sure. I don't know what is in this bill. Not just you. Nancy Pelosi says, let's pass it, we're going to know later what is in it. So it's not just you. I do not know. So I do not want us to govern that people don't know what we're doing, or we don't even know what we're doing. They put it last second on the floor and say, here's omnibus, vote for it, or we'll come in primary, you'll do it. So what I'm going to do, I want to make sure if you sign up to my newsletters, and if I don't lose my voice completely, I might do more town halls, but if we can have them conversations, I want to talk about these bills, because I do not want, we have a significant fiscal crisis, and I want to make sure that we're not going to be raising deficit.
Yeah, I can't hear that.
On the mic, dude.
So he says, Republican Party is going to put a bill. I don't know what the mic. Yes. No, I said I will, and I didn't. That's why I want to make sure. I actually, no, we did not. No, we have a budget, no, we didn't. We don't even understand what the discussion. This is what we're doing right now. It's instructions that is going to have a resolution. And I'll be honest with you, the biggest problem is not the House, it's the Senate. The Senate doesn't want to do any offsets to anything because they're making lots of money. Big oligopolies campaigning very hard. And that is the chance. So I am not, and that's why I am voting. I'm working right now to make sure that we can at least balance this reconciliation. So that is what I'm doing. So I can reassure you that I understand finances, I understand the significance of our fiscal situation, and I wish we could actually reduce our deficits, reduce deficits and debt, but at least we cannot add more to it. I understand, because it will cause inflation, and it will cause more problems if we do that. So that is my answer. I'm not going to let it continue increases to our deficits. It's a national security issue. But I'm trying to find solutions to this issue, and hopefully you'll be open-minded.
Our next question is from Deanna from Carmel, number 234.
Stop being condescending.
You have questions about tax cuts. Some of the tax cuts, just need very popular a question about tax cuts. Some of these tax cuts do bring growth, some of them don't. But President Trump wants to help people with lower income. So we need to figure out how we're going to use this. So that is what we need to So they're looking at the code. They're looking, ways and means committee looking on the tax cuts. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the spending so we come up the fraud and offset some of this stuff.
Okay, now we're going to go to Deanna, who's been waiting so patiently to ask her question. Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you for being here today. Before I begin, I, like a lot of you here, clearly disagree with some of the things she's saying. But I want to say that we are not going to be able to hear what she has to say if we continue to behave in this manner. This is ridiculous. You know what? We need to be civil and we need to listen and hear both sides. I need to make that clear. I applaud her for the way she's handling this behavior. Okay, my question.
Quiet.
Okay, my question. This week, President Trump expressed his desire to end federal funding for NPR and PBS, which polling shows is opposed by a majority of Americans. Would you support or oppose this action?
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you that I will, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because unfortunately, first of all, no, I answered the questions, but I'll tell you why. I said yes, but I want to give you an explanation. I'll give an explanation. I think we live now in the world where really, unfortunately, we don't have transparency in the media. We live in the world that media is very cheap. But the government shouldn't be subsidizing media. If you like NPR, and you can be listening to NPR, sell advertising on NPR, and then be very well funded. If somebody likes Fox, they can do the same for Fox. So you have choices. Government shouldn't be paying and subsidizing media in period. They do it here right now, and we've noticed that, almost everyone there, and actually been on NPR a few times, and I'll be honest with you, they try to be fair with me in some ways, and we talk about economic issues, and I appreciate some issues that they're willing to talk with the Republican. A lot of times it's generally just attacks. So I had good conversations with NPR, but I think we need to decide, and if we see that the media is very tilted, why the government should be spending, because ultimately country is divided in some way. Why we spending money on providing to one side but not the other side? And what should we start funding some conservative media too? Because unfortunately public media is not doing news that are not tilted, and unfortunately they become very polarized. So we are hearing some of this issue. I do not know if this issue will come in front of us, but if it does in front of us, I just see so much. I've been dealing with media, a variety of media, and I even go in very hostile media just to be able to have conversations. I go to MSNBC, I go to CNN and NPR, and it's not easy. Usually my colleagues don't even go, but I'm willing to go just so we have a different views and conversation. And usually it's tough. For a politician, it's real tough. But I don't think government should be really paying money and spending money subsidizing any media. There's plenty of way to fund media now, and it's actually quite well funded anymore.
Our next question is from Ben from Westfield, number 225. That's Ben from Westfield, number 225. If you're Ben from Westfield 225, do you want to raise your hand real big and tall, or I will ask your question if you want. Okay, I'll go ahead and ask it for you. So this is from Ben from Westfield. He said, I've been a registered Republican since 1976 in Hamilton County. Always voted for Dick Lugar. Why have Republican Congress members not rein in President's illegal, unconstitutional orders?
Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
You want to answer a question? I'll answer a question. Executive not a way to govern. But until Congress can pass a law, the executive order has been governing our country for a very long time. And unfortunately, to pass any law right now, it would take 60 votes. So, in a Senate, we cannot pass anything. I'll just tell you reality. It is reality. And unfortunately, right now, I agree. And unfortunately, right now, there is no taste to do anything bipartisan. So everyone voted a partisan vote. So that is the reality what's happening right now. Congress is not going to, until Congress decides that Congress is going to do a job, so it's not going to happen. And right now, I agree with you. Congress has to pass laws, has to work on issues, but Congress cannot come to an agreement. And until the party agrees to deal with this issue we agree on, nothing is going to happen. And the same situation was happening under Democrat president. You know, nobody would care. So right now we have President Biden who running wild. You know, now presidents do. And I do not like this because I might like executive orders today. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen in 4 years. So I'm willing to try to reform our institutions that we start doing its job, and I do as much as I can in a short majority. Unfortunately, it will take more than me, and I hope you can talk to your senators too, because, you know, if Congress does not continue doing its job, we're going to be run country by executive orders, which is not a good thing for stability of the country. That's been happening now for decades. It didn't happen under this Congress, and now we have Congress. So that is the reality what's happening. You know, the only way we can do it if party decide that they want to work together. You know, and I'm working extremely hard to find common ground. Actually, as a matter of fact, I passed 12 bills on the Democrats. You know, that is not that easy. But it is very, very narrow basis. Actually, on the Democrat president, and some of them were tough legislation. But I think that is important for us to do that. It's important to find common ground, but I don't think in this environment it's happening right now because people may be upset. Maybe people have a reason to do that. Maybe people just do it for the protesting. But unfortunately, no one wants to do anything right now, and that is a tough reality. So until Congress is going to wake up, nothing is going to happen.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. This one's from Amy and Carmel, number 121. Excellent. We'll get a microphone back to you, and I'd just like to remind everyone we appreciate you being quiet so we can hear our question asked and answered. I do.
I'm Amy from Carmel, and I work in the affordable housing field. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it. What will you do to ensure that those who are most vulnerable will have access to decent and affordable housing, especially those who are elderly and or have disabilities?
There are few aspects to affordable housing. One became the price of housing, become not just unaffordable, it's becoming unachievable, not just for people, you know, on the lower income, but even the people in the middle income people. And I think you've seen the prices, and it's a combinations of things, so we have to deal with the pricing. If we don't deal with inflation, mortgage prices are going to go up, so we have to deal with spending and inflation because it's become more and more unaffordable and achievable. But we also need to make sure that how we can stop this inflation and have a better economy for people with disabilities, for people, including seniors. You know, we right now spend, when I was a senator, I did a calculation, we on Medicaid, for providing seniors, you know, nursing homes, we spend enormous amount of money. Seniors don't get the services, and you saw that a lot of them don't even go to seniors. How some of these programs for the most vulnerable actually go directly to help most vulnerable and have them make a choice. You know, what is the best care? Our Department of Child Services spend $50,000 per child per year. 5 to 10 goes to foster family. I was asking, where is the rest of the dough? We can send the people to Harvard Business School for $50,000 a year. Where the money going? It's some kind of services. And no one could give an answer. These programs are getting very, very expensive. So I said, let's just, give it cash. It's cheaper than we're going to save money. So we have to start reforming some of these programs to allow people to actually need this help, to make sure they get it, but not all of these groups of intermediaries and everyone, whether it's healthcare or PBMs, you can see how much money made on pharmaceutical, and people cannot get affordable pharmaceutical. It's every area. Where is the same the services, whether it's nursing home, whether it's foster care. We have all of these intermediate agencies spend enormous amount of money, give to a variety of organizations, and I go on the ground, and I have some very poor communities in my district. And the money not there. I actually had a bipartisan bill that I passed with the chair of education committee at that time, Democrat, on juvenile justice prevention for at-risk youth. Because I've seen what's happening if we don't deal with kids early. The kids get into criminal justice system and then we try to get them through jails. We passed legislation. We were sending money to the state. It doesn't go to the ground. So we need to start looking how the money go, where they go, why we keep spending money, and nothing happening. So I think that's what we're trying to do, make sure we reform these programs, that we make sure the benefits for the most vulnerable, for people with disabilities, seniors are protected and improved. We need to do better benefits. I see how people are struggling, but we spend more money, benefits don't get better. We have to have better outcomes, we have to have better health care, and look at how we can reform. And that's what we're going to do, because we always have limited amount of money. We don't want to be doubling taxes on all Americans. We want to make sure that we keep taxes low. And by make sure with money we have, we do a better job. And that's what we're going to start looking at some of these programs, including for the most vulnerable.
Our next question is from Richard from Zionsville, number 273. Richard from Zionsville, number 273. I'm not saying I'm going to go ahead and ask Richard's question, and he had a very specific question I thought was great. We got lots on Social Security. Are any of our Indiana offices being closed? Richard from Zionsville wants to know.
Indiana offices?
That's what he asked.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're aware of anything, I don't. We try to keep all our offices closed too. And if you're not mean to my staff, I'll keep my office open too. If they feel very, they're very worried about that, we'll have to make appointments, because my job is also make sure that we keep people safe. But I think, we're going to look, I know there is a lot of drama with a variety of agencies and everything else, but honestly, we're trying to make sure that we automate, bring technology, and make some of these agencies work better for you. And that really seems like a common sense. We should all agree on that, but maybe it's very hard for us to agree. So I understand, but hopefully we'll find common ground at least in some of the issues.
We have another question from Tanya and Fishers, number 257. Tanya and Fishers, number 257. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask Tanya's question for her, scanning the room, making sure it's here. Tanya from Fishers asks, please provide more detail of your involvement/efforts to Doge, and why you think that this will help your constituents here in the 5th District.
So I want to make sure that, maybe we're getting too tired, but I think I'll at least go to 7:30 and then we'll have a personal questions, whatever you want to do. Okay, I'll just stay around here for another half an hour and do that, but let me just finish at least. Let me finish a little bit, thank you, appreciate it. So let me finish a little bit, a question about Doge, So I came from the auditing world. I came from the auditing profession, and in a lot of things when people come, this is a lot of business people from IT world, and what they're trying to do, they try to automate some transaction and do like some simple accounting things, and the government really is so behind on all of that you would be very surprised how bad it is. The simple transaction disbursed with no authorization, with no approval and justification. I don't think you would be running your own business like that. None of you would just have your banking account run like that. So this is the people from a business world, so I have a good understanding of what they're doing, and I'm trying to work with them, and I work with them quite closely. I'll be honest with you. But I want to make sure that things that are bad actually don't go eliminated through Congress. and not because that's the job of a Congress to make sure that the bad stuff and fraud goes through Congress. So my job is working with them to make sure that we can pass proper legislation, that we don't have to be continued dealing with fraud and abuse, and keep the promised benefit to the people, and have a better system to monitor how your money is spent. That's what I try to do, but I work very, very closely with them personally, and unfortunately, there's no live, so it's probably you don't want to listen to me in all of the details, but if you're very interested, I will be providing more information, and I send my newsletters and always give details on different things, but hopefully you can agree through things with me in the long run.
We have a question from William from Westfield, number 172. William from Westfield.
I'm walking. Everybody, let's go.
We'll get a mic to you in just a second, sir. Thank you for being patient.
Walk out.
We have
solidarity. Walk out. Walk out. Don't walk. Get out. Tell them what
Okay, we have a question.
Walk out.
We have a question from
Walk
William from
out.
Westfield.
Walk out. Let's go.
Okay.
Walk out.
Not working.
Could you scoot just a little bit, sir?
I can tell you this, that I would not be standing close to the Congresswoman because she's going to get hit by lightning for all the lies that she told.
But this is graph from Congressional Budget Office. Actually, a lot of Democrats now like, and Republicans don't. So if you don't like, and actually, listen, CBO is not perfect, but if we wouldn't have CBO, the country would completely run wild and we would completely bankrupt the country. So actually, Congressional Budget Office right now, that's what the graphs are. They're not done from me. I don't create them. They do this graph, so this is the reality. My party is now questioning a lot of this, what CBO is counting, because they don't like some things. And I said, well, you cannot just change accounting when you don't like the result. So I pushed back on my own party and I said, we have to be accounting the same accounting. We need to make sure, and I am not allowing them to change accounting methods, and that's for the big fight with the Senate. So we'll see what the Senate is going to come. Senate wants to change accounting. I don't think it's right. And I am not agreeing to that. And that's a resolution. We're going to see how it's going to come. I haven't seen it. Senate probably going to vote next week. And if they're going to change baseline, I'm not going to be supporting that. So maybe for a different reason, there are a lot of, but if Senate is going to change accounting methods to show that tax cuts have no effect, I am not supporting that. We need to be honest. We need to see what is going to come and what is not, and where is the bad stuff. We need to start balancing the books. And CBO might be not perfect, but we need to have that. So that's what substance is good, is big on the table, but that's what this graph said. They're not created by me. Be happy if you can look online and see that. This is all CBO numbers, so that's came from, they have reports, they do that, and I send them. Yeah, it's from their reports. Yeah, I'll be happy, and if you want to email, I provide it. This is the handout they do. They actually issued New Economic Outlook yesterday. So this is probably from my August town hall I did on the fiscal issues, but yes, from yesterday might have a little bit different, but I don't think it's much changed.
We have a question from Melissa from Carmel, number 362. Okay, we'll get a microphone to you.
I'm going to get any easy questions or not? Oh, no? Okay. Toughens me up. I'm telling you always the truth. You might not like, but I'll tell you always the truth. You might not agree with me, but I'll tell you the truth.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Let's listen to Melissa, please.
I work at a school, and we've just learned that Trump signed an executive order to completely eliminate the Department of Education, which funds the majority of our school. I could lose my job because of this, and I want to know why this is in the interest of Hoosiers like myself.
So Department of Education is not what's teaching kids. It's people like you are people on the ground. That's what's teaching kids. Department of Education, average salary of $140,000 a year. That's not what teachers get paid. So we're not talking about moving, taking funding away. We're talking about actually giving this funding to the states more directly, so we eliminate some of the bureaucracy. And it's very interesting. Let me tell you, one issue when I was state senator, I disagreed a lot of issues with teachers' union, but I work on the regulation of teacher profession, and they did not like all of the federal testing. That is one of the issues. I'm working to help them to provide more flexibility, that they're not teaching to the test, and the teachers have an ability to actually teach kids, and the teachers are rewarded properly, not regulated non-stop with no more regulation than even state do. So in the meantime, we have to think also how we make sure when we send money to the states, we also make sure that states use this money well, because no, they don't always use this money well. That's a different discussion. But we try to see how federal government can do better job of things we should do: national security, protecting the border, have strong military, have interstate commerce, and some of the issues give states ability to innovate and educate kids better, and the more teachers better, that we actually have best and brightest coming into profession, which become very hard. I taught a little bit, I taught at college a little bit, I taught at the public accounting. I didn't teach at schools. I was high school ambassador for some schools. I've seen how tough it is. I have children in schools. I know how tough the job is. But I can tell you, education is not acceptable right now. Our educational outcomes is not acceptable. Our kids, we're spending more and more money, and our kids don't get knowledge and be able to survive in a society that is fast moving and requires a lot of new skills. I cannot believe we cannot teach reading, simple mathematics, and kids in some simple things. So we have to think about that. And colleges, with the debt that kids accumulated, destroy an opportunity for them. A lot of them with enormous amount of debt and worthless diplomas have to work a big part of their life just to pay off their debt. That is driving very perverse incentives and outcomes when they don't have that. And it's interesting now because it's also some of the high end, including the President Obama, was more bipartisan issue about educational outcomes, but now it became so partisan that is definitely no one wants to deal with that, but we have to deal with education of our children because it is national security crisis, because only 30% of our kids, for educational health reasons, are able to join the military, are eligible to join the military. 70% of our kids are ineligible. That is not a good idea. So we have to think, so I want to make sure that the money we're going to fund education, and if we have to good causes, we're going to fund better and come after fraud and abuse, but not a lot of bureaucrats that don't help education in DC. So I think the department did a terrible job in DC. They're doing a terrible job, and we need to do a better job on the ground and help states to deliver better.
I'm sure you're all aware we have less than 30 minutes left, so I want to tell you, I know you appreciate my reminders, how much we appreciate your decorum and civility. I have a question from Christy in Kokomo, number 336. Okay, we'll get a microphone right to you. Thank you so much for your patience. We've got one coming over that way soon, I'm sure. The floor belongs to Mr. Keller, sir. Let's listen, please. It's not your question. Let's turn to the person whose question is now. Thank you.
First of all, Congresswoman, thank you for coming. I know you've seen a lot of what's happened in America and with town halls here recently, and you didn't have to do this, so we thank you for coming. And I'm also, you said it yourself that you're not used to town halls like this, so I'm proud of my fellow losers that we're getting involved with the process. Our question, you often talked about supporting jobs in the economy, yet you voted against protections for steel workers and automakers in this district, as well as a workers' right to organize, federal workers. You also support an administration that's allowing DOJ to basically cut Social Security and Medicare by removing $880 billion from the departments that administer these services, programs that many working class Hoosiers all depend on. Can you explain how these actions align with your promises to protect American jobs and help working families?
actually, in spite of a lot of things that people talk about, I actually worked with a lot of issues with a variety of unions. And there are some issues we might agree, with some issues we disagree. Actually, healthcare, that's one of the issues that is wage suppression as for union labor and as not for union labor. And I told them I can be very strong ally, and we had good meetings recently with them, and I said we can work together and agree on that. I always been supportive of competition on the market, but I never been a person who believed that union cannot exist. I think union actually can be very helpful to organize if they serve the people, if the leadership serves the members, they could actually help in some ways, because when companies come to places like Indiana, and we try to bring manufacturers to Indiana, and we don't just compete with Illinois and Michigan and Ohio, we compete with Tennessee, Texas, Florida, Carolinas. I want to make sure that we have good energy prices, we have water resources, which is requires for a lot of type of jobs, and we have educated labor. And if union has provided this labor, that's fine. But I am not going to support to mandate it, but I'm not against to help good leadership of good unions to deal with issues. And I'm working very closely. I have a variety of them in my district north of here. And we're trying, and President Trump is very supportive, and he actually put in charge of Department of Labor my colleague, who actually lost the race at very pro-labor union, which a lot of Republicans didn't like, but he doesn't look at that union and anti-union. So I do believe the competition should happen. I believe in right to work, but I also believe we can work with unions, and if they have good leadership, they can help the member to have good jobs and have more organized labor, where we can say when a company comes to Indiana, we have trained people, we have good people, but they need to offer value. We are not going to be just good protectionists if they're not helping members, and a lot of things were happening in the early 2000s. It wasn't happening. They were not really, serving the members, the leadership, always separate leadership and the members. And a lot of things happened that, in a lot of other progressive incentives that make industries move to China. We need to bring them back, but we need to be smart, and I'm very open to work with unions, and I have been working with a variety of them, so I always try to find common ground, and if there is any specific issue you are interested, I'll be open-minded regardless of politics. I just said I believe in right to work. I believe in right to work. I believe in the choices. I believe in that. But if unions want to organize, I have no problem with that. And I'd be very to help them to organize well. But I just said to you, I think I answered your question. I think I answered your question, but hopefully we can find some.
Okay, our next question is from Gail from Cicero, number 473. That's Gail from Cicero, number 473. And I know we've lost some folks, so you may hear my voice more. I'll ask Gail's question for her. She said, do you feel you represent all voters in your district? And do you consider carefully your decisions in light of all constituent wishes? And she added in, based on phone calls, emails, postcards, etc.
Yeah, I do, and actually, referendum is more or less is election, right? So if you believe, you will never be able to agree on 100% of the issue. I always say I don't agree with my husband on 100% of the issue, but I try to do my best. First, when I look at my decision, see on the law and decision how constitutional it is, because my first oath is to Constitution. Then second, I look, what is the majority of people in my district think, right? Ultimately, I won Senate, and I won 2 elections in here, so ultimately people believe that I did the right thing, majority. I would like to see more common ground and more people from other side be open-minded and vote for me on some issues beyond the party, but ultimately that's a choice you do. You might like someone else, and that's a choice, as we have decided in election. But I do meet with a variety of groups on every issue. I do not take side until I listen to all of the sides. And I try to figure out what is the right call. So I meet with some of the group that disagree with me very vividly. And it's not easy. I'll be honest with you, this town hall wasn't easy because I know there are a lot of calm people with maybe different views, but I didn't want not to have it, even though, as you know, I wasn't advised by security people, everyone to do it. But I felt like we still need to have a conversation. Regardless, we agree. I need to hear you. I need to hear your voice. I need to hear your frustration. Hopefully I can address some. Maybe some I cannot, but hopefully you stay in touch with me and stay in touch with the office, and we'll have more of that. And I think I appreciate you coming. I'll be honest with you. I do this town halls for a long time. No one else does it, and most of my colleagues advise against it, But I always do that, and I've done it. And we never had such a participation. So when I started going to more participation, we moved, and I tried to find venue a little bit closer, but previous venue, after we sent a letter, you know, I don't know, maybe I was doing stadiums, but I think you might not show up next time. So, you know, but what I'm just saying, you know, we always thought about doing something, you know, at the, you know, here at the on 191st Street, you know, the fields, you know, football fields over there. But I was like, well, that's a little bit complicated, right, in Grand Park. So this is probably not that far and everything else. So we'll try to stay in touch, but ultimately, you know, I hope we can have this, and I hope, you know, we can have this conversation, and we might actually even agree on one issue. We're still here, so hopefully maybe we'll agree more. But I appreciate the questions, and I'll try to do my best to listen to all of the sides, and you can make the decision on November, and ultimately you always have a choice.
We have a question from Jack and Carmel, number 150. Jack and Carmel, 150. Okay. I will ask the question. He said this is a constituent request. How have voter service requests to your office changed in 2025? And he noted especially Social Security and appointments. I'm not entirely sure what he means by that, but he did also add thank you.
Okay, well, I think when we actually try to streamline website, it's going to launch website that is a little bit easier, but we haven't done it yet. Hopefully it's going to be soon. Our IT services are not as fast, but hopefully they get better, you know. But you always can, if you have some requests, you can do it through website, but you can also come into office or call into office. We have actually open door policy. Our offices are open. Unless I'll be advised for security reason to have by appointment, but I think, you know, regardless how you feel, my staff are employees of the federal government, so if you don't like something, that's not their fault. You know, they're not there, you know, they're there to serve you, and they don't necessarily might agree even with me on issue, but it doesn't matter, they work there to serve you, so we try to do our best, and I think David has been, for my two predecessors, he's been for a very long time, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people say, we don't even agree with your politics, but David is great. So for me, feedback about my people is most important, my employees, so if we can do better, let us know, but we try to streamline some technology and make websites, so we haven't changed anything, it's still the same, but we'll try to make sure that our website is a little bit user-friendly, because this is a generic website that we had in the freshman, and now I'm trying to make it better. So but I don't think that needs to change right now.
We have a question from Deb in Westfield, number 227. Wonderful. We'll get a microphone right to you. Thank you for your patience as one comes right over your way. Perfect. And thank you for the audience for being a great listenership.
Our middle class has been dwindling for decades, and I really appreciate what everybody's trying to do with tariffs and bringing jobs back here. But what's our middle class going to do in the meantime? They're becoming poorer and poorer. We've already addressed the problem about lack of affordable housing, lack of health care, and now who knows what education is going to look like for these folks. So how do we not only maintain the middle class, but try and grow it?
Well, I think and President Trump is already there for a few more years, so that he's, you know, the question, this is a huge problem, and I think we need to make sure how we can help more people go in the middle class. Actually, real estate and affordability is one of the issues that a lot of Americans is the biggest asset that Americans own, and allow them to build some wealth and grow and be able to do it. No access to capital, where now small businesses struggle to get access to capital. That's a huge problem to the middle class. So we need to grow the economy. Growth of economy helps with different jobs, but then we also need to see how we're not creating now this environment where large oligopolies close to the government get all of the perks and benefits, and that's reality. That's a reality. That's a reality. They get grants, get subsidy, they get credits. You know, they lobby in Washington, D.C., and they get a lot of benefits, where people in the middle class and people in the lower income not able to get all of this. So I think this is becoming a distortion, because unfortunately, if you let politicians to make decisions, you know, not actually the markets, not you, which causes are good, but actually allow that to centralize the power, more and more money go to the wrong causes. So we have to think how the programs we have, they allow people to go from low income to go to middle class, how young people have opportunities to be able to acquire real estate and have good paying jobs. So I think growth of economy is one thing, but I think we need to look at the other side. What are we doing with financial markets? Because ultimately, no matter what it is, even small business, large business, or even family, it's access to finances, be able to build wealth, and how we can have people actually not just living in apartments, but also be able to buy some housing. So I think it's a problem and discussion we have, and we have more and more disparity now with the wealthiest people and the rest. I think this disparity has to be addressed, because if we don't have more people in the middle class, the country is not going to be as strong. So we have to look at that, and we try to look. But first, we need to re-energize the growth in the economy, because it will help. If we don't have economic growth, it's very difficult, because right now we're in trouble financially, and economic growth will help us.
Thank you. We have a question from Barb and Carmel, number 39. Barb and Carmel, number 39. Since Barb isn't here, I'm going to ask her question on her behalf. So, Congresswoman, this is from Barb and Carmel. She says, are you going to vote to continue to fund Ukraine and support NATO?
So, this is a question. I've always been a supporter of NATO. It's an important institution for the security of Europe. We need to make sure that Europeans do better too. We need to make sure that Europeans get to their 2%, because that's in their interest. So we need to put pressure on them. We need to make sure that Europeans have smarter energy policy, because that's an economic interest, and we can help in a lot of ways for that. I'm not going to be sending blank check to anyone. I'm sorry, we have no banker, no blank checks. We need to have strategy, and we need to know where the money are spent. And let's just be very honest, we're dealing with a lot of foreign governments that leaves much to be desired. Okay, let me just stop at that. So we need to be smarter. We have to oversee, but when we send money of Americans to foreign countries, we need to be smarter. What we're doing and what it is, so I think that's going to be a conversation about foreign policy, which will be broken. But as you know, strength of NATO is also have to be from inside. Americans cannot constantly pay the check to everyone. We cannot constantly do that. We have to make sure that we have some, they do their job too, and Europeans step up on that too.
Our next question is from Dylan from Westfield, number 293. Wonderful. He's right over here, so we'll get a microphone to you very shortly, sir. Thank you.
Like some others, I really do appreciate you being here. This is not the friendliest environment for this particular evening. After you elected to Congress, you swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help you God. Since you took that oath in January, the current administration has repeatedly ignored the plain text of the Constitution by illegally dismantling agencies established by acts of Congress, your branch, even putting Elon Musk in charge of deciding which funds appropriated by your branch will or will not be spent. The President and the executive branch have stolen your exclusive constitutional authority over appropriations. As our elected representative, you should find this completely intolerable.
Microphone is not working.
So my question is, when are you going to live up to your oath, defend the Constitution, and reclaim the powers that the voters of this district have reserved for you? In other words, when are you going to start doing your job?
To hear the answer to this really important question, so let's be quiet so we can hear the Congresswoman's answer.
My oath to the Constitution I take extremely serious, more than anything else. And you might disagree or agree. I actually departed with my party and did quite a lot of things, including the certification of election. I departed with that issue, so I do take it serious and look at things. The fiscal issue that we all in the Congress looked at, regardless what we like or not, and I honestly, a lot of things that President Trump do not like. But I want to make sure that you understand, Congress doesn't look at the 85% of what's happening. That is a broken system that we have to fix. So I am trying, so let me answer the question. I am trying to fix, because regardless, what we like or don't like, Congress needs to start doing their job, passing laws, and look at our appropriations. I am one person, but I forced the Speaker of the United States House to put a working group, and hopefully we'll have some result to how we can reform our budgeting. It's broken. So the question of the presidential branch and the money spending, impounding money, that's a constitutional question, probably should go to the Supreme Court to decide, because it's an agreement on that disagreement of that issue. What they can do or not, but what I try to do, regardless what they do, if Congress believes it's right, we have to put it in our appropriations, our reconciliation. If we believe it's not, so we have to start passing law. What did we pass? CR again. We continue passing CRs because it's been neglected for decades. So I've read Constitution, I understand Constitution, that's why I try to change structure. And I fought with my own previous speaker. I took my own speaker down because he didn't want to do his job. And that is not very easy. And I'm working with this speaker to try to figure out how we can do a job, which is not very easy to do coming after your own party, because I believe beyond that, I need to start doing job. You might like my words, but not. But when I have no ability even to vote on that, you have no representation or someone else who is going to be in this office. So we have to reform the structure. Until the structure is reformed, nothing is going to happen until we pass in CRs and with this. So right now I'm working on reconciliation that will have a vote of the House and the Senate, which actually can be done with 51 votes, not 60. And we are going to have things in there you're going to see. So you'll be able to see what I vote for and what we agree with President and what we not. We have actually deliberation with White House right now, with the Senate and the House, and we have to come to an agreement, and you'll be able to do it. So hopefully we'll have some good results. I do my part to find some solution to some of these issues. Unfortunately, it will have to be done on a partisan basis. Our appropriations in September will have to be bipartisan. We'll see where we're going to get there. It's very hard, but we'll see where we're going to get there.
Let's hear the question asker, please.
The point is, I want you to take those votes. What I don't want is for, after you pass whatever budget, the power that you have to allow the president, a co-equal branch, to say we will not spend that money that you are on the record allocating. So Musk, who has no constitutional role, is deciding where the money that you've decided gets spent. That's wrong, and you should want to reclaim that authority.
And that, we have to face it in general. Whether I agree with it or not, I agree with you. And the impounding by that branch has to be resolved in the Supreme Court, because it was passed in our 70s. And that is an issue. That is an issue. So administration is argued one way, Congress another way, and that is, a lot of people believe it's a constitutional issue. The president can't do it. The Congress set the maximum level. If they can do better job with less money, they should be able to do it, because that's government efficiency. And a lot of Democrats believe in that. I think this is an issue the court probably should take and resolve or decide it. But regardless what it is, Congress has an ability to direct a lot of this spending in a different way if we pass specific bills, but we don't. We didn't pass any appropriations for a very long time. All of this stuff comes through CR. All of this spending, this is not appropriations. We cannot even come up with appropriations now for a very long time. I mean, this is a reality. This is not money that we're appropriating. Let's just be honest. It's not. So we are not actually passing appropriation. Congress hasn't been able to pass appropriation under previous Congress, with previous branch, and in the current. We cannot even do that because Congress is not doing its job. And I try to do as much as I can to make the Congress to do a job that I even launch a fight against both parties in Congress, which is very hard. Very hard, and I'm trying to do something with this Congress because I can do so much, but as much political capital I spend to fix this, I don't think anyone else, but I'll try to do my best because I have an agreement with you. Congress has to be appropriating funds. Congress has to be passing appropriations. And we are so deep in the hole that we need to actually have a task force to at least move the needle, or some fiscal commission at least move the needle, and we are not doing that for a second, please.
We have just 5 minutes left, and I have a wonderful question from Deb from Noblesville, number 84. I don't know if you're still here. Yeah, okay, we'll bring I think she's actually, yes.
Oh, she said she was dead.
So, this will be our last question. This is Deb from Noblesville.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I wrote this question 3 hours ago. I have no idea what I wrote, so...
We'll bring it back to you, actually. And I apologize. I believe in using first names because I'm trying to be polite. But we realized there could also be more than 2 Debs from Noblesville, and that's my error. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. First of all, thanks for having this forum. I think we've heard a lot of opinions tonight. My question, words are great. Words mean nothing if there's no action. So my question is, based on the feedback tonight that you've heard, what are you going to do, and what will you have the courage to do?
I want to make sure that, and we might have actually less deep disagreement with what you're saying, but let me tell you, I want to make sure that we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that Congress is actually start doing its job. And I will do to make sure that Congress has as an institution, and I pick a big fight on that. That is number one thing. Number two thing, I'll make sure whatever it takes for us to make sure that we come after fraud and abuse and save programs like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for the most vulnerable and make it better. Because we have to promise the people, we took people's money. I know that you all have concerns, and I know that you hear a lot of different things. But I'll tell you, what we're trying to do, what I personally am trying to do, is to help to make sure that these programs become fiscally sustainable, that we don't have to be increasing taxes on all Americans, that we have an ability for growth of the economy, and we want to make sure that we have a good paying job and have an opportunity for people to go into the middle class and not just for very few on top. So I want to make sure to do that. I understand your frustration with President Trump and Iran and Dodge, and they were elected by the majority of Americans. That's the reality. That's the reality. President Trump was elected to be president, and he is the majority of Americans. I know, but majority of the vote, okay? Let's just say that, majority of the vote. I know that you're frustrated, but I hope, and I know you're frustrated with Elon Musk. He just helps to order things. As you know, he doesn't have the power on the vote, right? So he helps to show transparency. The Congress will have to decide to put it law or not. And this is the reality. I know that you're very, very well frustrated, And I'll work on some farm and healthcare. We find little common ground here, so that's good, because maybe we can actually be able, but I hope you stay engaged. I know that, a lot of you frustrated, a lot of you may be upset, but I want to thank you for coming. I know that probably some issues you don't like to hear what I have to say, but hopefully we'll find some things that you like. And hopefully we'll have a discussion and conversation and continue, this dialogue. So hopefully I appreciate you that you didn't make it so bad that my team will refuse to do next town hall. So I appreciate it very much. Hopefully I'll have now my voice for another 2 hours tomorrow. But I'll stay a little bit here if you have any particular questions for me and my team. I'd be happy to stick around for a little bit. I think we have until 8 o'clock, but if they allow us to do it, I'll do that. And I want to thank everyone, and hopefully we'll continue this participations in town halls. But thank you so much. May God bless you and your families, and thank you for having me. I appreciate you here. Thank you.
All right, so we've been, I wanted to cover this. This is a quite contentious town hall hosted by Indiana Republican Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. And, there have been a number of town halls recently with members of Congress where constituents have expressed a lot of anger and frustration. So I wanted to, this was contentious. I wanted to show some of it while we had it live. And look, there actually are a couple of special elections coming up. I believe there are, if I have this right, I believe there are 2 congressional seats being filled in Florida, both in Republican districts, heavily Republican districts. Coming up on April 1st, which I'm planning on doing coverage of. There's this question as to whether those might be closer than you'd think. So there's this question of how much anger is there about the current administration? Will it translate into any voting pattern change or not? I don't know. I don't decide who gets to go to those, people go to those town halls or they don't. Maybe people happy with the administration don't go to the town halls. So I am planning on doing coverage of the special elections. I think they're all on April 1st. There's the 2 in Florida, and then there's a Wisconsin Supreme Court justice election, which is getting a lot of money poured into it. Elon Musk has been speaking about that a lot. So I believe that's the same night, and I want to cover that as well when that happens. Hold on a second here. Is that on April 1st? Yeah, April 1st is the Wisconsin Supreme Court election too. Now, by the way, so if you were here at the beginning of the stream, that town hall was full, and then a bunch of people left like roughly a half hour before the end. A number of people said they were frustrated with it and they left. I can show you. I don't know if people want to see it at all. I have the first part of that. I got on the air about a half hour in when I saw what was going on. So I can show a bit of the first part of the town hall that we didn't see if people want to see it or not. Or if not, I won't. But I do have the first part of the town hall when it was full and people were angry. But I thought it was really interesting just to see that that's a member of Congress having a town hall for constituents, and as you could see, it was very rowdy. A lot of shouting and stuff, so it was really, really interesting. It's very, very interesting to see that. I might just play a couple minutes for the people who want to stick around and watch it. You don't have to stick around. By the way, quick thanks to our Loki 1988, Dina Soul, JTAC for your support, Bebop and Rocksteady, PZ Papa Zulu, Chris Canada, Quebec City, Shameless Senpai, Martin Gingrich, Way Too Much Info, Michael Burmester, Shorty 6890, and Mitchell Pilot. Thanks so much for your support. Also, Pigbox over there on Twitch. thanks for subscribing. Shout out to our moderators who are here too. Ruth Krafasi, and also she's on YouTube, on Twitch. Seriro, Matthew Kohai 3, McBritches, Surly Dev, our Facebook moderators over there, and our X moderators on X, Linda Belk, Larry, Misha, and yeah, there have been a number of contentious town halls with members of Congress in recent weeks, and I don't know. I think it's an important story, and I think it's really interesting to see. So maybe thanks K. Lowry Body Modding on Facebook. Yeah, so nobody's making you sit and watch it. I might just try to play the beginning of it and see what it looked like right at the beginning, because we didn't catch the beginning. I have it right here. If you give me 1 second here. Play a couple minutes of it. The Indy Star reports, rowdy crowd boos Republican Representative Victoria Spartz at Indiana Town Hall. She was born in Ukraine, by the way. And then she came to the U.S. in 2000 and became a U.S. citizen in 2006. That is Victoria Spartz. All right, so let's pull up here. So this is some video from towards the start. Let me just quickly fix this. So if I do this, is this going to work here? Let's see. Yes. Here we go. I'm pulling it up on the screen for you so you can see. And we'll play a little of the beginning because we didn't even see the beginning. Let's play a little of the beginning and see what was going on. All right, there she is. We got to get audio here. Do we have audio? Oh, we'll have audio in a second.
The people in the Senate to agree to that. It's going to go insolvent in 2033, so next president will have to have this discussion. What are we going to do? You know, and it will have to be bipartisan agreement what to do about it, because we need to make sure that we deliver to seniors their promised benefits. And what are we going to do in the future? So we'll have to, if we don't do nothing, there are going to be automatic cuts across the board, and we'll try to avoid that. I 100% agree. That's why we need to make sure that people that pay these benefits are going to get them, right? But that is not going to happen this Congress, it's not going to happen this president. So this is an issue that you will have a chance in next presidential debate. You know, it's going to be in 4 years. Decide who you like or who you don't like. You know, right now, as I said to you, President Trump is not tackling this issue. You know, and Democrats are not tackling this issue. Well, this is the reality. This is the reality. So Social Security is not a discussion, so you have nothing to worry, but I hope we can have a productive discussion in 4 years. Now, let's talk about healthcare, Medicare and Medicaid. It was very interesting for me that a few years ago, you know, a lot of Democrats, and still now, were talking how much Medicare fraud is and Medicare Advantage we had, and how much big monopolies over billing. It was a bipartisan issue. It was interesting for me that actually Vice President Biden, I will show, actually, if you look at the post, yes, and we'll do that, If you just, listen, I actually a fax person, so not just show the receipt, I am going to actually have a proposal. So what are things are happening? But what I want to explain to you, you know, a lot of this issue used to be not partisan. Actually, Vice President Biden was calling some of these Ponzi schemes. We actually saw that recent Indianapolis, the article was talking about misappropriations of billions of dollars from nursing homes. Do you think it's right? Do you think Indianapolis ties conservative newspaper to write it? I don't know. I don't think they ever write anything nice about me. So I doubt that conservative, and they just have a big article that actually money that should go to nursing homes and seniors that would die during pandemic wasn't appropriated by large hospitals. So do you think it's the right thing to do? Well, so I'm just, if you want to listen to me, we'll listen. But if you were just really here with already predetermined idea, I'm good at facts. Well, I am. I'm listening to you. That's not the question. I do. I agree with you. So let's just so we can talk about what Dodge is doing or not doing, but let me tell you what Dodge did. Do you think it's a bad thing or not? So if you hear, I obviously can tell that you don't like Dodge here, but I'll tell you what they did. So they came to the department. If you listen to me, if you don't listen to me, then you will know. If you just came here to scream, we'll never be able to have a conversation, right? I want you to hear. You might not like what I have to say, but I thought you would like it. So I'm going to have, let me see that. Listen, you need to hear what they really do, and if you want to hear that. So they came to the Department of Treasury, and they said, we want to make sure that there is a proper authorization of any funds that disperse. This is your money. You think we should be spending your money without authorization? No, truly. Do you believe you want your banking account money from your personal bank account sent without authorization by someone you don't know what for? Who many people want to do that? Raise your hand, please. How many of you want your personal bank account, somebody just disbursed money with no authorization? How many of you? No, raise your hands. How many of you? Is it not a common sense? What I'm just saying, is it not a common sense that when you disperse, this is your money. Treasury is your money. So when Treasury disburses your money, this is your money. Listen, I understand it. So I try to explain to you, so I listen to you. I'm telling you, and I'm going to.
Let's please use this as an opportunity to model the kind of grace and decorum we want to see represented. I know, but I'm a professor and a mother, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to do that. We have plenty of questions that I hope we're able to get to, and we have several hard questions to ask of Representative Spartz, but we need to allow her to address us first before we can ask them.
Just 1 second, guys. I'm going to go over the rules.
No, it's okay. Listen, I'll just tell you, if we're going to scream the whole town hall, it's a waste of time. We don't have to do it, and I will not do it again because it's a waste of time for people who came to hear that. Because some people actually
I've never done that on a
hear
live
us.
before.
And then we'll get a chance to speak. So I'm listening, but not screaming.
I can get it from them, or I can try
I'll be honest
to. It's
with
like
you.
a,
I wanted to have a conversation, but if
don't
we're
know where
going
to go on
scream and match,
live.
we don't have to do town halls. Because next time, we're going to have.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Okay, let me go try to.
I'll update you on some issues. So anyway.
What information do you need? What exactly?
So that's what Dodge is doing. Dodge is actually trying to figure out how the money is supposed to work hard. Okay. Oh, well, it's good. And you do it when you go vote.
Yeah,
But
it's
you
just
don't
going
have
up and
to
down.
scream at people
I
than
gotta
anybody
say
else,
that.
okay? So good. I'm glad that we have people that really, came here. And I understand there is frustration, but I'll just be honest with you. If we, I understand the role very well. That's why I have these town halls, because we want to have a conversation. But if people just come here because they want to scream, it's not productive for the people who want to do that, So we'll have conversation, we'll try to answer questions. So, but that is what the most questions that are very heated right now. And this is the questions, that that I'm sure you have about me. So I want to make sure that you understand, and I'll get Laura handle the rest, and you wanted to give her a little time to look through all of your questions. But I just want you to understand that we are going to make sure that we protect Social Security, Medicare for senior, and Medicaid is working for the most vulnerable, not go to large special interest groups in D.C. And unfortunately, this issue was so bipartisan before, and President Obama tried to tackle, President Biden tried to tackle, and they didn't. But unfortunately, since President Trump is tackling fraud and abuse, it's become a partisan issue. But it is what it is. Now, what we're gonna do, and listen, I thought we have a public, the conversation, and we have a respectful conversation, so we cannot do that, if you guys scream it. But I think, guys, we're going to, right now, go to your questions. I'll have Laura go to that, okay?
Okay, so we received a great variety of questions that we're hoping to go through as many as we can. We've been organizing them based on topics. And I do want to start with the question that was posed to us by Karen and Fishers. Your number 155, and it's a question regarding benefits upon retirement. The way we'll do this is I will...
Hang on.
Able to, if you would prefer that I do that, I'm happy to do that on your behalf. But could I see Karen from Fishers, number 155? And you can bring your additional questions up here, certainly. We would love to see all of them.
We'll get microphone if you want to answer the question. Karen? Get the microphone to Karen, or would you want to answer the question? Who has a microphone? Do you have who has a mic? Do you know who has a mic? Okay. Can we make sure, Jessica, can you get the mic to Karen, please? All right. Yeah, make sure that we have personal list on the other side. Right there. Karen is right there. Jessica, right there. Can you please make sure you do that? Thank you.
Hi, thank you for coming here. I actually have a letter from 1984 when I was in high school. I had to write a letter to the president, who was Reagan at the time, and I asked him about Social Security and if we were going to have it when I was retiring. He had one of his staff members send me something back, and I would just like to read to you what he said at that time, a Republican. He said, when signed into the Social Security Amendment in 1983, President Reagan noted that the new law demonstrates for all time our nation's ironclad commitment to Social Security. It assures the elderly that America will always keep the promises made in troubled times a half-century ago. It assures those still working that they too have a pact with the future. From this day forward, they have our pledge that they will get their fair share of benefits when they retire. I would like to know how you will ensure that all Americans now and in the future will receive their benefits when they retire, and also respectfully ask that you stop the limits of Social Security. For example, Elon Musk, a couple minutes past midnight on January 1st, he's done paying for the entire year. Ridiculous.
Please, you don't need to scream at me, okay? Let me answer the question. So, the numbers, as you know, are working. We have a lot of people, baby boomers are retiring, right? Less than people in workforce. So the numbers are working very negatively for us. So it will have to be a discussion. Every single should be on the table. We'll have to figure out how we make sure that people get their benefits. But as I said before, there is no desire for bipartisanship. We tried to do bipartisan commissions. Last Congress, bicameral bipartisan, in the Senate and the House. We actually had to introduce bills. I co-led it. I have several senators, Democrats and Republicans, co-led in the Senate. No one wanted to do it. So until we have, discussion with American people during presidential election, that discussion will happen. What do we need to do? But I can tell you, everything will be on the table because we have to resolve the situation and make sure we keep promises to the people. But there is no bipartisanship of this issue. We cannot even put fiscal commission anymore on even people agreeing to do it because everything's became so partisan this Congress and no one wants to work with President Trump on the other side. So that's why it's going to be a problem. So I'm just telling you, this issue will come in the next election. It's going to be a big issue. But this issue is not going to be resolved now because Democrats do not want to work on bipartisan basis. But as a matter of fact, what Elon is trying to do, he wants to make sure that people who are using the system and get Social Security incorrectly, that they're not doing it so we can save this progress. That's all he's trying to do. So hopefully I answered your question. And I'd be happy to go more in details on numbers, but I completely agree. President Reagan said it right. We have to keep promises. We cannot put luck on these people's feet. We must keep the promises to what we promise to the people. That is a responsibility for us. We need to make sure that we balance the system, and that is going to be a discussion that must happen and hasn't happened. President Reagan said, well, Congress 30 years to deal with that. Well, guess what? Congress 30 years past, Congress hasn't dealt with that. But Congress will have to wake up. I am. And listen, and I fought so much with my own party last year to put that commission on the floor that you don't even know how much. But unfortunately, Chuck Schumer and Biden didn't want to do it and killed it. That's reality.
Among the topics we received several questions on included the recent Signal scandal. And we received a lot of great questions on this. But I'm going to ask Stephanie from Carmel, number 120. She asked a great question on Signal. Would you like to ask it of the Congresswoman, or would you like me to ask it? We'll get a microphone too.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm from Carmel, and I just wanted to see what your plan is to address the issue with the administration talking about classified military operations on Signal. And will you demand the immediate resignation of Pete Hegseth? Would demand the immediate resignation of Pete Hegseth, Michael Waltz, and the rest of the group chat.
So let me just address, no, I will not demand their resignation. I'll explain you something, and actually you should post all of the resignation stuff. It goes to the Senate anyway, so you should talk to your senators. Hopefully they'll have town halls. You're both senators that you have, so you can attend them and talk to them a little bit more. But talking about that issue, one thing that I want to share with you, I think it is actually very bad, and there is some classified and usually classified information. We have a mechanism to share that and deal with that. But there is sensitive information that might be not classified. And one thing I have to tell you, the government needs to do a better job. They will have tools for sensitive information where we can communicate with each other. So we don't have mistake or just something happened by mistake, because definitely it's not a good situation. So hopefully we'll take some look at that and actually Congress, we don't even have as a members of Congress, a lot of Democrats, Republicans using Signal because we don't have any other tools. And I was very surprised when I became member of Congress that we don't. So we have tools and we go with a very deeply classified, but you don't always have to go in a skiff and be able to have this conversation. You don't even cannot do that. So I think with all of the technologies that happen in the real world, it's sad that government is so behind on every single technology. And actually that's what Elon is trying to do. He's trying to bring technology to the government.
Our next question is from Matt in Carmel. He's number 438. Matt in Carmel. If you would like to ask your question, 438, we can get a microphone to you. Over here.
Sure.
Do you have Matt? Do we have Matt?
They're allowed to ask their question, though. We do want to give people the ability to do that. I hope you understand. I know and I understand that, too.
Do we have Matt?
All right, thank you. As a Ukrainian, or at least someone who was born and raised in Ukraine, would you actually support a NATO or international peacekeeping force as part of a peace agreement to end the war and also hopefully deter Russian aggression? I mean, for the foreseeable future, or at the very least, just offer Article 5 protection. Article 5 protection, like the Italian Prime Minister suggested, I want to say like a few weeks ago, or maybe it was a few weeks ago, I believe. I mean, that's my question.
Thank you. I think, Russia has been allowed to get away with too much, and we have to deal with that, no doubt. Russia has been destabilizing a lot, and something happened, and this discussion's on the table. President Trump put everything on the table, and actually we need to make sure that how we can deter further. But as you know, the Soviet Union wasn't taken down by weapons. Soviet Union, which is Russia, a big part of it, was taken down by energy policies and financial policies. So Russia should have consequences on that, but if we don't have good energy policies and destroying our domestic energy, we're funding Russian wars. That's the reality of that situation. So we need to be smart. Europeans need to be smarter to deal with Russia, because Putin will go as far as he'll be allowed to go. And I think, thanks to a lot of things that happened, braver Ukrainian military, that what's happened, the volunteers, I put a lot of volunteers from America and around the world help with that war. Also the money and weapons that we send European, but unfortunately it was not done with a strategy to deter him further. So I think it's everything on the table, and Europeans are looking maybe to have some coalition on village, to send some peacekeeping forces there too, because we have to deal with Russia, how not to let them get away and go further, and they've been going through 14 or 2008 with Georgia. And they cause us problems not just there, they cause us problems in Africa, they team up with China, they destabilize the Middle East and do it all over the world. We understand, that it is actually, the big problem, but we need to be smart, and we deal with countries which have, governments that are quite corrupt. We have to make sure that we have oversight. That's a reality. That is a reality. We need to make sure, because I demanded to have point-to-point logistics, strategy, and oversight of money. Because we cannot be spending $1 billion of cash when our country is going bankrupt. We have to be smarter. We don't have never ending money. We never have that. But we have to deal with Russia properly, and it will take strategy. But right now, we at least need to force them to the table, because the war is moving in the wrong direction. And we cannot further let it escalate. The situation in there is pretty tough. And I've been in the trenches and I've seen what's happening. So I'm not just talking from just, TV. I understand what's happening. It's a very difficult situation. We have to deal with Russia, and it's going to be very tough negotiation, and a lot of things will be on the table, but we'll have to figure out what to do with Russia in the longer run. And also on top of it, how we reform some of these agencies, that we don't have all or nothing approach. If you're a member of NATO, you have full protection. If you're not, anyone can take over, millions of people can die. All these institutions that were created after World War II are not working. UN is corrupt, and this is the reality, and we need to be
Westfield, 335 involving tariffs. If you're Joanne from Westfield, number 335.
Joanne, we have Joanne.
Where are you? I'm happy to read it for you if you prefer, but we do want to give you that opportunity.
Joanne.
Okay. Would you like to ask the question on her behalf? Okay. Thank you.
Do you want to ask on her behalf or have Laura can do it too? It's up to you.
Right behind you, sir. Behind you. Behind. No. Hold that mic. Keep that mic. Your other mic is not that way.
Jessica, we'll need you to go faster. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming, Congresswoman. We appreciate it. And I hope that we can be somewhat more calm and collected and have a nice conversation. Because that's the only way, that's the democratic way of working out problems. My question is, are tariffs an indirect tax on Americans who purchase goods in this country? And I'm sure as a CPA, you will steer us in the right direction.
So I'll tell you, there is a short-term use of tariffs and long-term use of tariffs. And what President Trump has the tools, what he's trying to do, and we agree, might disagree, and some of the things I might disagree with some I agree. But what he's trying to do, which some of the things I think it's a valid reason to say, if somebody's going to tariff us, and we should, in return, tariff them to make sure that this country stabilizes. He wants to make sure that we bring American job back to us, to back to manufacturing. We lost manufacturers, and a lot of, and a lot of these jobs, loss of jobs is significant burdens became for us because a lot of people don't have these opportunities. So I think we need to make sure that we realign them. So President Trump is using tariffs right now, to try to be able to stabilize the situation. But I think,
I don't have a mic, so fair, but you do agree then that tariffs are in effect an indirect tax on Americans who are buying goods and services.
It depends. And I'll tell you why. It depends. If you have alternatives or not in domestic productions, if you do help your industry or not, it depends if you try to realign with that. Actually, President Biden kept a lot of President Trump's tariffs because it helped to realign us to have domestic production of this job. So if you use it smartly, and for the purpose of the end result, it actually brings growth to the economy and internal domestic economy. So it depends where they apply, how it apply, and for what reason. If you don't have some product in your country, never will have, and you're just going to be taxed for no reason, then it could be actually additional. But I think we should try to use it in a smart way and try to apply for industries and products where we can increase domestic production, where we can work with the other companies not tariff our goods, because we don't allow our export for our farmers. A lot of these countries are blocking out. So in a lot of ways, and plus make sure that our allies also not really have distortion in the economy. So it depends on it, but they try to use it for right now for a reason to do realignment to the economy, and not for a reason to actually to add cost, because they want to reduce cost. And we have a lot of foreign countries that control supply chain, and during COVID, they increased significantly prices with no reason, because they control 80 to 90% of supply chain, like China. And when they do that, they can set a fleet. So when they do that, they add so much to the cost. People don't realize that a lot of them never put the prices down. So actually, that is a larger tax. The supply chain, this is a true tax when they're able to jack up the prices with no justification and control the markets. Because we don't have diversification, so we need to diversify this dependency. As a CPA and an economist, I have several degrees in economy, I'll tell you. As a CPA and economist, it depends what is applied and for which reason. And what is the end result you're trying to achieve? Every policy what the end result you're trying to achieve. And I think as a long term across the board, it brings negative effects, but in the short-term solution to realign economy, it can actually bring very positive effects and also help with the price. Well, I answer your questions how it is, but I can't, we need to move it on. I refer it again. The ad as a CPA, an economist with an MBA, an MPA, and Bachelor's in International Economics, I say it depends. It depends. Listen, I understand. As a long-term solution, it is not a sustainable solution, and no one is planning to do it. It is not going to happen, but as a short-term mechanism to realign, it could be done.
Our next question's from...
Right. I think we've basically caught up to where we were when we started. So I wanted to just play the part that we didn't get to see at the start here. But look, I thought that was really interesting. There have been a number of town halls recently where members of Congress have faced angry people in the crowd. There was actually, this is an article here from March 4th. U.S. House Speaker urges lawmakers to avoid town hall meetings. This is a Reuters article. It says, this is back a few weeks ago. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson urged fellow Republican lawmakers a few weeks ago to avoid public town hall meetings with voters after some events turned into angry confrontations over President Trump's moves to fire federal workers and defund government programs. Speaker Johnson said Democrats and activist groups were responsible for the tumult. He said they're professional protesters, so why should we give them a forum to do that right now? They're doing this for the camera, and we all know it, and I think it's wise not to play along. His comments followed several public meetings that erupted into shouting matches over efforts by billionaire Elon Musk's Doge to fire thousands of federal workers and cut off funding for programs deemed wasteful. Democrats said Republicans were seeking to hide from regular Americans. A member of the Democratic leadership, Pete Aguilar, said they are scared to answer the question from their own constituents about why they support these efforts. Anyways, so I thought it's a very interesting thing that's been going on, and I thought it was really interesting to see that town hall from Indiana. I can't tell you how many people there were Democrats, Republicans, how many people there were Trump voters, not Trump voters. I have no idea, but I thought it was quite interesting to see. We'll take a couple comments here. But we hadn't gotten to cover one of those, so I saw it was on, and I wanted to jump on the air and check it out and show it. But as I mentioned, there are two special elections for the U.S. Congress for Mike Waltz's seat, and I think it's Mike Waltz's seat and Matt Gaetz's seat in Florida on April 1st. Those should both be safe Republican seats, but there is some concern that those races might be closer than those districts were back in the last November, and also there's also a Wisconsin Supreme Court seat race on April 1st, which is getting a lot of attention. So I am planning on doing coverage of those races on April 1st. Evelyn in Maine says, it was wild. Maroon Planet says, this will be very interesting. If you could rewind and watch, I played a bunch of it at the start. So if you missed the part, you can go back and watch the part you missed. At times it got quite contentious in there. So we'll have to see what... Sophie says, please cover the terrible earthquake. We actually covered about for 5 hours the earthquake overnight. We may do more coverage of it, but if you're not aware, we do have a whole stream on it that we covered overnight in the immediate aftermath. Jesse's Girl says, crazy crowd. Okay, but Herman von Salza says, this is how it starts. So how much does the Contentiousness at this town hall represent what's going on among Americans in general? Beats me. Nuclear Option thought it was 100% paid agitators. Mona L says it was more like a rock concert. All right. I think we're going to start. John Turpin, our viewer, said tough crowd. One Eye wrote in and said, I feel sorry for you Americans. You honestly seem to have no clue what's happening to your country. You honestly going to try to ride it out there, Steve? America is about to become a very scary place. That's what our viewer One Eye said. Our viewer Renee Severe wrote in and said, angry MAGA in that town hall realized they got played by Trump. Jarrett Nash said, that Congresswoman has earned an out-of-state donation for me. Jarrett thinks no radio, TV, or internet media should be funded by the central government. She thinks they are... Jarrett thought those were professional protesters. Rue the Day says it already is a scary place. By the way, that suburb, that district, she comfortably won that district in her election in 2024. That suburb is a higher income suburb of Indianapolis, where we were watching. In 2024, she won her election. I'm looking at it right now. She had 56.6% of the vote. The Democrat had 38% of the vote. I don't know about that particular city, how that city voted. Kay Lee says it's the richest in Indiana. Is that true? I don't know if that's true. I know it's a higher income suburb. Joe H. says they looked like the typical Republican voter in Indiana to me. Mona L. says, I think some were and some were, others weren't. Mitchell Pilot says, I don't think it was paid agitators. I think it was just the local town liberals. Distant Galaxy says, we will see at the midterm elections. Maybe we'll see something about what happened, you know, something about something surprising could happen on April 1st with the special elections. Yeah, here's just, this is what I'm talking about, April 1st. Democrats outraged at Trump's changes pour millions of dollars into 2 special elections in Florida. Democrats are trying to accomplish the improbable by flipping a pair of Trump-friendly congressional seats. While Democrat leaders aren't predicting outright wins in such Republican-leaning districts, they say they think they'll exceed expectations. They sound especially hopeful about the 6th congressional district, where a public school teacher has outraised Trump-endorsed state senator by nearly a 10-to-1 margin in the race to replace Mike Waltz. So we will have to see what happens in those special election races, which we will be covering on April 1st. And also, there's questions about what this race meant. This is a story from a few days ago in AP. That other story was AP. Democrat James Andrew Malone narrowly won a special election for a Pennsylvania state Senate seat in Republican-leaning suburbs and farming communities, scoring an upset for a party roiled by infighting since President Trump's victory. I believe it had been a long time since that district had voted for a Democrat for their seat, but at the same time, it's unclear, you know, how much this actually means in the bigger picture is unclear. There's some debate about that. Trump won that district with 57% of the vote. A Democrat last represented Lancaster County in the State Senate in 1889. 1889. Democrats say. But that was a heavily Republican district. Anyways, so who knows? We'll be covering it on April 1st. We'll see if there's any surprises on April 1st. Yeah, President Trump won that district by 15 points last fall. All right, guys, I think it's getting to be that time. We will. JD63 says Trump is really knocking this economy out of the park. Marcia Barge says Trump's ship is sinking fast. We have some different opinions in our chat. That's not a bad thing. I appreciate our moderators being there. Hey, I really appreciate you joining us for this live stream. Thanks for joining. Kind of a little bit of a different type of live stream here, but I thought it was super interesting myself. I wanted to cover it. Hey, subscribe, follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. Turn on our free notifications. They work awesome to let you know when we're going live. The mods will post a link in the chat to that. And you can follow me for breaking news coverage on my X account, which is @Lookner on X. Right over here, I will be posting updates there, as I always do. By the way, the president of Columbia University, it was announced, the Board of Trustees announced she's no longer going to be the president. I posted something about that on my X account if you want to read that there. Let's see here. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hey, thanks so much to our moderators. We couldn't have chats without our moderators, so really, really appreciate them. Huge part of the channel. Ruth Krafasi over there on YouTube, Beth Mythical, Sabrina, and all of our other YouTube mods. Over on Twitch, moderators like Big Ball of Yarn, David Green, Matthew Kohai 3, McBritches, Sarah, and Surly Dev. Thanks so much. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X, on Facebook, K. Larry Body, Margaret Riley. Thanks so much, moderators. Also, a reminder, another good way to know when we're going live is follow us on X. At Agenda Free TV, I always post there before we go live. I post updates about the channel there. And again, we did an earthquake stream. People are asking about, we did a 5-hour earthquake stream earlier this morning, so you can see that. We may do more coverage of it as more news comes out. I'll have to see. It's very possible depending on I haven't seen that many major updates since this morning. So, but if there's more big news, we may do more coverage of the earthquake. It's terrible. We covered it for hours earlier today. Let's see here. I wanted to mention. Thanks to our subscribers over there on Twitch for all your support. Twitch subscribers like 4C Blue, Uncle Floyd GG, Matthew Kohai 3, EJ Rod 31, Pigbox, McBritches, Ya Maitna, Jazzy Renee, thank you. Army Vet 007, Ruben Amorim, Bad Toastery, thank you. Douthis. Douthis says, I will be interested to see what happens to the MAGA movement after Trump is gone. Will it continue or will it just peter out? Mr. Bigley, Uncredible, thanks for subscribing. Sarah, No Time for This Today, and all of our other Twitch subscribers, thank you. Our Facebook subscribers, really appreciate you subscribing, like Lou Green, Michael Clayton, Robert Rial II, K. Larry Body, Margaret Riley, Rita Evans Lang, thank you. Aaron Van S. All of our other subscribers on Facebook. Did I say Robert Rial II? Thank you, Robert. And our YouTube members like Mona L. Berry, Marcus Casa, Magica Photography, and J.K. Sinar, Mona L., Doug Cahill, Basic J, TJ Adams, Evelyn in Maine, Ernie Garcia, Shelley, CAC 813, Barry, Ronald Kame, Just Me, Bob the Bomb, New Eurekan Joseph, Pat W. And again, thanks to everybody who donated earlier. I think I got everybody. Really nice of you. Really appreciate your support for the channel. That's what keeps the channel on the air, so thank you. JD63, thanks for being a member. Dr. McRib. Michael Burmester. Thanks, Michael, for the gift memberships. Michael Burmester. Also, Ken Lance and Evil Bunny, thanks for your support. And Neo Rican Joseph and Loki 1988. And Dina Soul and JTAC. Bebop and Rocksteady, PZ Papa Zulu. I think I thanked everybody. Also, some more of our YouTube members, Sean, Waltham, Patricia Grace, Rusty Nails, Kay Lee, Saxon Acadia, Yoruba, Eliza Jane, Dean R., Emma Jackson, and all of our other YouTube members, and everybody else for watching. Old Cat Lady, Ernie Garcia. Something a little different tonight on our live stream. Oh, thanks, Nikki Newark, our subscriber on Twitch. And Hopper, thanks for watching. Mario Terrace, thanks for watching on Twitch. And Old Mordeem, Christy Claft. Thanks, Paul Anderson was modding too. Thank you, Paul. Chris McVeigh, thanks for watching. Paula Thompson. All right, guys, Jamie Rowland. That's it. You've been watching our live coverage of this contentious town hall in Indiana. I came on the air so fast I forgot to put my graphic up here, but whatever, most of it I was in the corner. But that is it for now. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.